What's up, world, and welcome to the new edition of Take One Podcast, episode 59. And I skipped a week, but I'm back, and so I'm going to be covering some of the stuff that happened within the past week or so. Some of it's kind of old, but I'm going to be talking about some new stuff and getting into the box office as I usually do every week or whatever. But just to kind of started off was going to be the trailers that had dropped. So I'm going to start off with the newest trailers that dropped recently. Then I'm going to go into the older ones that dropped last week and, just talk a little bit about that. So the first trailer that I'm going to get into is the Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon HBO film called Fahrenheit 451. Now, this looks pretty interesting. I didn't even hear about this before, I didn't even know that he was having another movie to come out. I mean, it's not going to be in theaters. It's going to be on HBO, so it's going to be an HBO special. Comes out in May, and the gist of it is basically that I'm guessing that it's somewhere in the future. I didn't look up the synopsis or anything, but it's somewhere. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the future where books aren't allowed. So they're burning every single book, literature. They're getting rid of hints of the internet and stuff like that. And so they're raising the new generation to be without books. And so Michael B. Jordan is a part of this group or company that is ridding the world of books. And that's basically what it's all about. And I don't know, it doesn't give too much of where Michael Shannon's character is. More than likely, he's playing the bad guy. Michael B. Jordan, he's probably playing the good guy that, is doing bad things, but then towards the middle, he starts to kind of go into the right path and stuff like that. But that's mainly where it seems. And it looks pretty interesting. And Michael B. Jordan, he, for sure, people are going to be checking this out. Because of Black Panther and what he did with that. And even just from that, Michael B. Jordan is a great actor. He is. He's really phenomenal. And he's only getting better. And if Black Panther didn't prove it, check out the other films that he's in. Check out Creed. Check out Fruitvale Station. And that's just to name a few. He was up in Fantastic Four. Some people like to call it Fort Stick. Even though that movie didn't do good, he still was good in it. He's not a bad actor. So I'm looking forward to it. And Michael Shannon himself, he isn't Dusty himself. Michael Shannon is a great actor as well. But I'm really looking forward to checking this out, to seeing what this movie has to offer. It looks pretty good. I like the trailer. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. And I'm just wanting to see where they go with it. And so that ends that. Let's go into the next trailer that I checked out, which is a new Adam Sandler movie that's for Netflix, and it's featuring Chris Rock. I was about to say Chris Brown, but it's featuring Chris Rock, and it's about them having their kids are basically getting married, and it's basically the week of. That's the name of the movie, but it's the week of the wedding. And Michael, wow, I just got off. I'm about to say Michael Shannon, but Adam Sandler is the dad that's trying to pay for the wedding, but he doesn't have too much money, so they have to stay in this rinky-dink hotel, and then they end up having to live basically, or just stay with him inside his home. And it's like a big family, so everybody is sleeping on the floor, couches and all that stuff throughout the house, and it's very crowded. And Chris Rock is the father of the groom, and Adam Sandler is the father of the bride. And I just want to say that I am just not impressed with the trailer at all. I watched the trailer. I wanted to cut the trailer off just to put it in perspective. There was nothing that looked to be funny about this movie. It's going to be on Netflix. It's not coming out to theaters, but I guess for the more recent future that I keep back to say Michael Shannon, but Adam Sandler, his movies is going to be on Netflix, and we've seen that with the last few movies that he did was on Netflix, and this movie, it didn't seem like it's going to be funny. I mean, I may check it out. I might end up checking it out, but when it comes down to it, it doesn't look like it's interesting. Now, this could be just, the trailer just looking horrible, and then the movie end up being like at least enjoyable or very funny or very good. But it just doesn't look appealing. Like, this is one of those movies where if someone seen the trailer and it was actually coming out to theaters, you would be like, I'll pass on that. This is like the type of movie that it wouldn't get butts in seats. And I just really didn't enjoy it. It looks, I don't know what they were going for with the trailer. It looks to be serious with bits of comedy, but they put real heavy emphasis on the comedy parts. But it didn't make me laugh. The trailer's job is to entice you, to get you to want to watch the movie, whether it's streaming or whether you're going to the movies. It's like it just didn't get me. It just really didn't. I just didn't like it. It was just, I don't know what they were going for, but obviously it was trying to go for something comedic, but it just didn't reach that. So I don't know. I may or may not end up checking it out, but it's just, I don't know. It was one of those trailers. But moving on. So last week, the Incredibles 2 trailer dropped, the second one, because we had a teaser, and then we had was it the second trailer? I think it's the first official trailer. Gosh, I have a bad memory, but a trailer to the Incredibles 2 dropped, and we got a taste of what the movie has to offer. Now, I liked it. I really did. The only big concern that I have about this movie is that it seems from the trailer, now it could be something totally different, but from the trailer, it seems to be going in the same route as the first one did, where it was, guys, the name escapes me, but Mr. Incredible, he ended up really wanting to, go basically be a superhero. Like, it was egging, just bugging him. And, he would, listen to the scanners and, the police scanners and, try and fight crime and all that stuff. And then when the opportunity came around, he took it in secret, and, everything else happens after that. And this movie kind of seems like it's going the same route. Like these people are trying to bring superheroes back in the fray, and instead of Mr. Incredible going out, it's Elastigirl, his wife, going out and doing the crime fighting, and he's at home taking care of the children. More importantly, Jack, which that's more than likely going to be the premise of, not premise, but like the basis of his story is going to be them two just bonding together and all that stuff, and you're gonna have Elastigirl doing her thing. Now, up in the trailer, you see a bit of them wearing costumes in the beginning of the trailer, and I feel like that's more than likely the beginning of the movie. I'm not entirely sure, but more than likely that's the beginning of the movie. They do some stuff, but then it's like whatever. But that's the really big major concern that I have about this movie, is that it's going to be a carbon copy of the first one, and that's one thing that I really was not looking for. That's just, I was looking for something totally different. Maybe something to where it's like the family, it'd be like the family all getting together and actually fighting and actually just down. I mean, I was about to say, an actual superhero movie, which more than likely is going to be a superhero movie, but it's just, I wanted the whole family involved, and maybe it'd be in the end battle, but I don't know, I was just looking for a little bit more, maybe just a tad bit more. But it may end up being really good. It may end up being one of the best, I think it's a Pixar movie ever. It has the possibility of being that, but I mean, we'll see. That's my only big major concern about it. So that is what it is. And then going on to the next trailer, we have the Pacific Rim second trailer. And yeah, this is like a badass trailer. It was a I had my doubts with it. I love the first Pacific Rim movie. This one, seeing the first trailer, it was like, it was cool. After, every now and then I can't get that Tupac or song mixed out of my head. Get it on till I die. Am I wrong for wanna get it on till I die? It gets stuck in your head. But besides that, I wasn't really too impressed by the first trailer. It was like, it was good, whatever. But this trailer, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I do have small doubts about it still, but when it comes down to it, I'm definitely am going to go see it. This trailer did it for me. This trailer solidified my butt in the seat and my money off my movie pass card going straight to the movie theater, whichever one I'm gonna go to. And yeah, this is a badass trailer. Just the overall look of it, like some heavy money went into it. You get more of the story that, like, I think I pointed it out in my review of the first trailer, that you see Jaeger going against another Jaeger. I believe that's the the Kaijin is the monsters, and so the Jaegers are the machines. So you see two Jaegers going at each other. So it was like, what's happening? So we get a little bit more of the plot coming out, that it's going to be probably a company versus another company, that a company is more than likely responsible for bringing the kaiju back to Earth and all this stuff. So the plot thickens, but it looks crazy. It looks good. The monster in the end, I think I said before that it looked like he was regenerating, but now that I looked at it I looked at it after that, and even just in this trailer, that the monsters fuse together. And that's crazy. They become like a way bigger monster. So I hope that this movie is really good. I hope that this movie is the shit, because I will be checking this shit out, and it looks incredible. I am definitely there when that movie drops. So moving on to the next trailer. Now the new Rampage trailer is completely awesome. Like, this is one of those movies where you're not going to take serious. If you take it serious, you're going to be sadly disappointed. This is one of those movies that you go in there and just take it as is, as a good time. It's like one of those movies. It's like you don't put too much thought into it. You don't go in there and be like, oh, well, he's not going to get nominated for an Oscar. And like, you don't go into it for that. This is one of those movies where you go into it for the simple reason of it's a dumb action film. That's the reason why you go into this movie. You have big monster after big monster after big monster. Not even just monster, but animals. You got a giant gorilla going against a giant wolf going against a giant crocodile. And that's basically what that is. You just go in for that. And then you're going to have The Rock in there, who's going to be all types of badass. He can walk around with a gun and all this stuff. So more than likely, he's doing some heavy lifting himself. So when it comes down to it, this movie is going to be what it is. You don't expect anything more, don't expect anything less, but a dumb action film that will make use of your popcorn. I ain't say that right. That will make you make use of your popcorn. If you don't eat your popcorn all the way through a film, then you're gonna probably do it this. It's like, that's basically what it is. It's like you just go for it for the action, for the crash, like crashing buildings, just the chaos that this movie's gonna ensue. This trailer just shows all of it. Even like the end, like at one matter of fact, before I get to that, at one part I kind of saw George in the wolf. I know the wolf got a name, and I know the alligator got a name just because of the what they are up in the game. But you have, I could have swore in one part you got George and the wolf standing side by side, like they both were going to take down the crocodile. So I don't know what that implies, or not even just implies, but what that scene entails. But maybe it get to a point where they have to feel like they have to stop this thing because maybe it's bigger than George and the Wolf. So I don't know, but I like the scene at the end where The Rock and Rock says, "Come on, George, let's do this." Like they about to team up and then do some shit, or he's getting George like pumped to take on the crocodile or whatever. But overall, yeah, this trailer was really good. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I cannot wait till this movie come out. And so going on to the next trailer, which is the last trailer that I'm gonna be getting into this trailer reviews, and it is the final trailer to Jessica Jones season 2, and I was really impressed by the last trailer that we had got, and I'm still I ain't gonna say in awe, but I still am impressed by this trailer because both of them did it for me. This one, I could say I like the last one better, but this one had a lot of good points to it, even just how it started. Like, you could tell that this season is going to deal with a lot of emotion, that it's going to dip back into her past. So that's going to have a lot of emotion right then and there. But you get it from the trailer. You feel the anger, and she plays the role perfectly. She plays the role perfectly. When it comes down to it, this look like it's gonna be good as hell. I don't know if it's gonna be the same as the first one, which I did like the first season, but I wasn't too much of a fan of it. But like I could say to anybody, you don't have to be a superhero fan, a fan of the movies and stuff like that. Anybody, if you love the detective films and stuff like that, or detective shows, if you watch Jessica Jones, you probably will end up liking it, if not loving it, or you will end up loving it if not liking it, whatever you want to say. But yeah, like that's one of those type of shows, and if anything, I hope that the second one is like that. But I hope the second one is kind of a little bit more entertaining when it comes down to it. I love just the overall feel of just the trailer and everything that it delivers. I was going to check it out anyway, so it's not like they could have sold me any more on it. I'm still going to check it out to see how it is. And hopefully that's good. Hopefully it's good. If not, if not, you'll be hearing from me, because I will be putting out the reviews for all the Marvel Netflix shows coming within the next month. So yeah, look out for that. And that ends trailer reviews, and so that moves on to the next segment, which is movie notes. And so within movie notes, before I get to the whole box office thing, I'm going to talk about something that came up last week. And I just wanted to touch on it because I found it was really interesting. So apparently Sony was in a position to where they could not only just get the rights, or at least the movie rights to Spider-Man, but also lease the movie rights to a lot of the now MCU characters, as far as Black Panther, Thor, Iron Man, and characters of that nature, Ant-Man, for $25 million. And so when you look at the scope of things now, their value then gone up, and Sony denied it. They did not want all the other characters. And just to give you a heads up, this is back in 1998 when they acquired the rights, because Marvel was going into bankruptcy. So that's the reason why, if you guys didn't know, probably a lot of the people that listen to this probably already know how it is and all that stuff, that Fox owns the rights to, the X-Men universe, Deadpool. They had Daredevil at one point, but that contract lapsed, and so Daredevil came back to Marvel. But I think New Line had was Blade. I think New Line or some other company had Blade. Universal had the Hulk, and then Spider-Man went to Sony and stuff like that. So they was kind of spread out, not all over the place, but to different companies, certain characters. And so, yeah, like Spider-Man was almost about to go. I mean, not Spider-Man. What Spider-Man wasn't going to be alone and going to Sony. You was going to have basically a lot of the characters from the MCU as we know it today in Sony. And just think about how that would have turned out. And back then, it was like they're not as known characters as they are now. So you can't really blame the Sony execs or whatever, or I think it was the CEO of Sony who basically shot it down. Who shot it down, said, no, we don't want that. All we want is Spider-Man. And they basically just said, I think, what's the guy's name? Landau? I think that's how you pronounce it. Harry Landau or something of that nature. But he went to his bosses at Sony and they said, nobody gives a shit about any of the other Marvel characters. Go back and do a deal for only Spider-Man. And that's crazy just to think about it, because a lot of people, if like you sorry, I got some stuff on the ground, I accidentally stepped on it, but if you were to say this to anybody, like they'd be looking crazy, like, are you crazy? Black Panther just did crazy numbers, Iron Man is one of the most popular superheroes now, and blah 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 and all that stuff. But this is way back in 1998. A lot of people did not know who Iron Man was. A lot of people knew who Captain America was, but probably didn't give a shit. Thor, I don't think anybody knew about him besides Norseman mythology type Thor, not the Marvel character Thor. A lot of people didn't know about Black Panther. It's people just now really getting introduced to Black Panther ever since Civil War, and even just leading up to this. Like, a lot of people did not know who Black Panther was. This is their introduction to them. So when you look back at the scope of things back then, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. The popular names that were out were, you got, besides, like, I'm not even counting DC or whatever, but in Marvel, you got Spider-Man, X-Men. Those were the popular names. I mean, it probably was maybe one or two other people or two other characters that may have been just as popular or close to their popularity, but when it comes down to it, those are like the popular names, Spider-Man and X-Men, so when it comes down to it, any one of us, even the diehards that love the MCU right now, back then, you probably would, if you didn't read comic books. Let's take the geeks that read the comic books. Take them out the equation. Talking about guys like me who love the movies, that know a lot about these superheroes but have limited knowledge to the overall scope of things as far as the comic books go. That's deep into the lore and the different versions and all that stuff. But the people that just love the movies, that know what we've been given, that's all that they know. Giving us, if say we go back in 1998 and we was put in that position to get Iron Man and stuff like that, we would probably say the same thing. Like, no, we want Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the popular name. And I believe around that time, they had already had toys and stuff and games, and I believe that because I was a little kid and I loved the Spider-Man series. Like, that was one of my favorite TV shows. So when you put it in perspective, yeah, any one of us would have made the decision. Like, yeah, we just want only Spider-Man because we don't know if these other heroes are profitable. But now we know that they are. But even if you look at it like they at least could have tried, not everybody could succeed. Fox then gave, hell of tries to try and get Fantastic Four a good movie. And it was like the 3 tries that Fox did, they failed at every single one of them. I enjoyed the first 2. I guess you could say it was like the second and third try, but the first 2 tries that Fox did had at the Fantastic Four. I love those movies. I ain't gonna say I love them. I like the movies. I like the second one better than the first one. But when it comes down to it, yeah, I know I keep saying that when it comes down to it. But yeah, it's basically, it took them a minute and they still hadn't got it right. So we're still trying to figure out what the hell happening with the Fantastic Four. So even if like they would have acquired, Iron Man, Thor, and them back in the day, who's to say that they probably would have made an Iron Man movie and it wouldn't have been good? Or they would have made a Thor movie or Ant-Man movie and it wouldn't have been good. A Black Panther movie and it would have just been trash. So, I mean, I guess you could say everything works out for the better. I mean, we got great, I ain't gonna say Iron Man movies. I wasn't a big fan of any of the Iron Man movies. I appreciate the first one and what it did, but I just didn't care for it. The second one, the third one, I really did not like. But the Thor, it all worked out for the better. We got great movies in the MCU now. So, Disney, they did what they did. And so, from that, Sony bought Spider-Man, for 10... Wow. My notes are just crazy. I think, okay. 10 million. I forgot to put the M right there. I'm about to say $10 because I forgot to put the M. So yeah, they bought Spider-Man for $10. Like they must have been desperate. But nah, they bought Spider-Man for $10 million and 50% of the movie revenue and half of the revenue for consumer products. So that's basically the whole deal with them. But I just felt like that was interesting. I just felt like that was interesting to share with you guys. And so moving on to the box office segment. And since I didn't do it last week, I'm just going to run down the box office of last week, my predictions and stuff for this past weekend, and then, just do this week. So last week, Black Panther came in at number 1. You got they still don't have the budget. They still haven't released the budget. So it did 100. When I first did my thing or whatever, I think the 3-day weekend, was it? I don't know. But the 3-day weekend was 197 million. But I think counting the 4-day weekend, it was 202 million. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? And plus, it opened up in foreign markets, which was at like 169 million, which brought its overall total in its worldwide total to 361 million. Then you got Peter Rabbit, who basically did last week at 17 million, and its domestic was at 48 million, plus the foreign market, which really just kept it at 48 million, just a little bit over that, but still 48 million, whatever. 50 Shades Free came in at number 3 with a $55 million budget, and last week it did 16 million domestic. It brought it to 76 million, and the worldwide total for last week was 266 million. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, came in at number 4, and it did 7 million last week, and it brought its domestic total to 377 million, which brought its worldwide total to 904 million. This movie is almost doing $1 billion. That is crazy. I never would have guessed that. If you went to my old podcast of last year and me talking about it, I would have never guessed in a million years. And then rounding up the top 5 for last week was 1517 to Paris, and it brought in 7 million. Domestic total was 25 million, which brought its worldwide total to 300. Wow, was 36 million. Oh my gosh, it brought its world total to 36 million. Let me not mess that up. And that was last week. And yeah, I think what was it? I don't even think I think I messed up my predictions, but I didn't. Yeah, I think I deleted my predictions for it. Gosh darn it. But in any case, Yeah, that was last week. That was last week. And so getting into this week, it changed a little bit. It changed a little bit. I think, matter of fact, I still remember. Okay, so my predictions last week for this past weekend was Black Panther still at number one. That wasn't gonna lose its space, but I thought Annihilation was gonna be number two. I thought Game Night was gonna be at number three. Then Peter Rabbit, and then 50 Shades. I think this, yeah. So I thought that's what it was gonna be, but the overall basically the top five ended up being Black Panther still at number one with 111 million this past weekend, which brings its domestic total to 403 million. And get this, it's worldwide total in its second freaking weekend. The freaking weekend is 708 million. This movie is getting close to possibly being a $1 billion movie. That is crazy, nuts, insane, and all that stuff. Number two was Game Night with a $37 million budget, and this week it brought in 17 million. It's domestic 17 million, and it's worldwide total I don't know why I'm about to say the hundreds. 22 million. That would be crazy if the worldwide total was 200 and something million. I'm like, wow. People must really love this. But number three was Peter Rabbit, and with a $50 million budget, it brought in this week all over the weekend 12 million. Its domestic is 71 million, which brings its world title. Wow, which brings its worldwide budget. Oh my God, I'm twisted. I am like stumbling over my words. I'm sorry. I'm tired right now. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible. But it brings us world collection. I'm gonna just put that world collection to 47 million or 74 million. You see, I'm just tripping. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. So let me do that over again. I'll say Peter Rabbit, $50 million budget. This week it brought in 12 million, and its domestic is 71 million, and its worldwide take in is 74 million. Number four is Annihilation on a $40 million budget, and it did 11 million, and it's worldwide. It doesn't have a worldwide right now. I don't even think it opened in other foreign markets. But it brought in 11 million. Then we got, rounding up the top five, is 50 Shades Free with a budget of 55 million, and it brought in 7 million, and its domestic is 89 million now, which brings its worldwide gross to 320 million, and that rounds up the top five of this past weekend, which is crazy. I mean, I saw Black Panther not moving, not budget. Annihilation, it was a movie that I was looking forward to even before I saw it or whatever. And that was a movie that, I was really hyped for. I really was hyped for. And I thought that was going to be a number two. But it wasn't. Game Night was. I'm still going to be putting out a review for Black Panther, and I have a lot of movie reviews that I'm gonna be putting out real soon. But yeah, so I saw Annihilation and Game Night within the same night on Thursday, and I want to say I wasn't taken back by either movie. I really wasn't. It was like they both were kind of like okay, I enjoy Game Night more than I enjoy Annihilation. I'm just gonna basically say that. I'm not gonna say anything too much on it, because I am going to end up putting out my review on both of those movies, as well as Black Panther and blah the rest of them. But yeah, I was thinking before I even saw it that Annihilation was gonna take the number two spot, but I guess I don't take in perspective of the power of the comedy. I really don't. But Game Night did what it was gonna do. It did it. But to see Annihilation in its first week with a $40 million budget only bringing 11 million, and it hasn't. I don't think it's open in foreign markets yet. So 11 million. I don't know if it's gonna. I have a feeling that it's gonna reach its budget, but I don't know if it's gonna be doing the numbers that they needed to do in order to break even and get what they need to get for this movie. So I don't know. I was just really dumbfounded by it. I was just really. This is crazy. But one thing I did notice is that out of this top 5, that Jumanji is out of the top 5 finally. Because last week was a week from last week. Well, not this past weekend, but last week was his last weekend. Man, Jumanji had a great run. This movie came out, I believe, the mid-December. Stayed in the top 5. Even went up. It was in the number 2 and number 3, and went up to number 1. That's crazy. That movie. That put it like this, and that's one of the movies that shot me. It's not even at number 5. But that's one of the movies where it opened in mid-December and stayed all the way to the end of February. That's crazy to think about. That's crazy that a movie like that you would think probably wouldn't last that long. And one thing that I've noticed is that not only it's not in the top 5, but it's only at number 6. You would think that a movie like this probably would have dropped down to number 7, number 8, number 9, or number 10. But it's only at number 6. So it's not that far below 50 Shades Free. It's not that far below. And if it wasn't Red Sparrow, I don't know if that's going to do good. But I'm going to talk about that in just very shortly. But I think Death Wish may end up having it be, I think Red Arrow and Death Wish. They need to make a good adaptation of Death Note, but I think both of those movies are going to end up in the top 5, which is not going to make its way. But I would be surprised if Jumanji makes its way back into the top 5. That would be nuts. But yeah, and one movie that you can really look at and just notice isn't in the top 5, or wasn't in the top 5 for that long, and Jumanji was Star Wars The Last Jedi. A movie like that, you would think it would be where Jumanji is, but it's not. That's crazy. Just to put in perspective, that's crazy. Peter Rabbit, number 3. It's good. Like, I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed that film. It deserves to be in the top 5. I think anybody, if you haven't seen it and you got kids, take your kids to go see it. It is a good film. It's a good quality film. I noticed that Early Man isn't up in there. Early Man, I don't even think it was in the top 5. If I remember, Early Man, I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't. It's not up in the top 5, so it's just crazy. Like, just the certain movies that you would think would be in the top 5 will be in the top 5 for a long time, and they're not. But like I said, with this top 5, I was surprised to see that Game Night won over Annihilation, and they have a movie in between them. I thought, it was going to be switched, but, I thought that Game Night was going to be right behind Annihilation. It's not. And Jumanji is out of the top 5. Those are the things that really shocked me out of this. And, yeah, everything else I expected. I expected the Peter Rabbit to still be up in the top 5, and I damn sure expected Black Panther to be up in the top 5. So, I mean, even if people didn't go see Black Panther this weekend, it still will probably be up in the top 5. If no one wanted to go see it, it would still be in the top 5. But moving on real quick to the movies that are coming out this weekend. So we have Red Sparrow. It's the Black Widow movie that we need to have. But it's featuring Jennifer Lawrence. And from basically, I hate not having a synopsis in front of me. But it's just about a woman who is from, I believe they pick them from like childhood and bring them into this program like a ballerina to become spies, Russian spies, who are trained to get information or do jobs by I cannot say the word seduction. And from what I hear, this movie is crazy. I ain't gonna say crazy, but it makes I guess you could say it makes certain people uncomfortable. So I'm just curious to see what that uncomfortability is. And then next we have Death Wish, starring Bruce Willis, which his family gets murdered. I believe his wife and daughter gets murdered, and so he goes on a killing spree, either basically, I guess, to find the person. You're like, man, this dude, he watches movies all the time, but he just struggling trying to figure out what these movies are about. But that's basically the gist of it. His family gets murdered, and so he's going on a rampage spree, just a killing spree to, take the heads of these guys. And so, the movie that I'm looking forward to mostly is, from what I hear and from what I see, Red Sparrow, when I first heard about it, I know a lot of people was comparing it to Black Widow and all this stuff and all the knowledge that we got from her background in Age of Ultron and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe, it's going to be, an action film. But when I finally saw the trailer and the trailers after that, it's like, I don't see that much action. I don't think that this is one of those type of movies. So I don't know if some people go in thinking that, oh, it may be that. I don't know if it's going to have any action. Or if it does, it's going to be very minimum to like just the story and all that stuff. But still intrigued by it. I'm still intrigued by it. When it comes down to it, Death Wish is something I'm going to go see. It looks like it has a little bit more action. And not to say that like I'm all about the action, which I am. I mean, we are, at the core, a lot of us are action junkies. But it's times where you kind of like want to have variety. Last week was 2 different films. I saw Annihilation. I saw Game Night. You got a thriller, sci-fi, fantasy type film, and then you have a comedy. And this is the same type of thing. It's like you have a kind of like straight drama, thriller, action film with a, I guess you could say, drama thriller type film, I guess you could say. That's how you could put it. And it's like a mixture of things. I might end up doing a double feature again if hopefully both of these movies are good. But the one I really am looking forward to is Death Note. Why I keep saying that? Death Note. Death Wish. That's the movie I'm looking forward to. The one with Bruce Willis that's coming out this weekend. And so just to wrap this up, this segment and this podcast, my box office predictions for this coming weekend are going to basically consist of Black Panther, of course, being number 1 again. It's going to be number 1 for the next 2 weeks. Just take it as is. It's going to be number 1 for the next 2 weeks. And then I believe that Death Wish is going to be a number 2. That's what I think. Believe that Death Wish is going to be a number 2 because Game Night didn't do that well this past weekend, 17 million. I don't think it's going to have a spike and hitting like 20 something million next week or this weekend. I don't think it's going to be a spike of people like, oh, well, let me go see this movie, and in the second weekend just spike up. It could, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Game Night is going to take the number 3 spot. And I think Red Sparrow is going to be at number 4. I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to be at number 5. But I'm going to put it at number 4. I'm going to risk it all, put all my cards, chips, and everything on the table. I'm going to risk it all and put Red Sparrow at number 4. It could be number 2. I don't know. But I think out of the 2, just like myself, I think a lot of people are going to probably be, out of those 2, looking forward to Death Note. and I keep calling it Death Note, Death Wish. Maybe I'll have to look at the title to not mess up on it. And then number 5, rounding up the top 5, is going to be Annihilation. So just to go over it again, my box office predictions is Black Panther at number 1. Number 2 is Death Wish. Number 3 is Game Night. Number 4 is Red Sparrow. And number 5 is Annihilation. And so that is my list. And I was just about to say wish. That is my wish. That is my list for the predictions. My predictions may be different from yours. You might have Red Sparrow in place of what's the movie? Death Wish. You might have Red Sparrow, them two right next to each other. I don't know. For some reason, some people might have it at number 1. Hey, it's whatever. What's your list? I want to hear it. If you put it down there in the comment section, let me know what you think is going to be the prediction. What's your prediction for this coming weekend? But these are my predictions, and I'm sticking to it. I am. And so with that said, this has been a full, hearty, healthy episode of the Take One podcast. I went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I needed to catch up on a few things. So yeah, I think that's about it. That's going to wrap it up. And so, I'd like to thank you guys for listening again. And, yeah, just go ahead and like this video. Hit the subscribe button and the notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that drops on my channel. Check out everything else I have to offer. The podcast, movie reviews. And I'm going to have some more stuff up pretty soon. So go ahead and check that stuff out. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.